What is persuasion? Scholars have defined persuasion in different ways. Persuasion, according to communication scholars, is a communication process in which the communicator seeks to elicit a desired response from his receiver, a conscious attempt by one individual to change the attitudes, beliefs, or behavior of another individual or group of individuals through the transmission of some message. A symbolic activity whose purpose is to effect the internalization or voluntary acceptance of new cognitive states or patterns of overt behavior through the exchange of messages. A successful, intentional effort of influencing another mental state through communication in a circumstance in which the persuader has some measure of freedom. In the 21st century, technology is a vital part of our lives. We have almost our whole lives in our phones, and we have apps such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, which are all very similar, and some are even owned by the same company. Convergence describes the integration of voice, video, and data technologies. Before, we were only able to receive one of those at a time, but now everything is converging into a whole new type of media. Raymond Gossi said, "The clearest example of convergence is a cell phone. In your pocket, you can receive phone calls, and much more. It can take pictures, it can surf the web, it can get your emails and send emails, it can tell you where you are, and it can help you find a nearby Thai restaurant." Persuaders use social media, not notably Facebook and Twitter, to persuade audiences in several ways. I never knew this, but when you follow or like someone or something in social media such as Instagram or Twitter or even Facebook, it shares that to your followers, so basically you are promoting them or their work, etc., their items, whatever they're selling, you are basically promoting them, and that transmits to all of your followers. One example of which I can think convergence and persuasion together would be YouTube, because YouTube is one of the most popular current sites that are just average regular people, and it includes people that are persuading us through voice, showings, items, advertising, without us not really like seeing it as advertising, but it's still advertising. Google is another example of convergence advertising, since it partners with thousands of sites to deliver text, banner, or video ads. Advertising on mobile devices was projected to cost $2.61 billion in 2012. If you really think about it, the internet actually began in the 1960s as a way for military leaders to communicate in times of crisis. And in the 1990s, the internet exploded. So now I'm 21 and I've pretty much had the internet for my whole life. And I know many people my age are constantly on their phone and then browsing on their laptops, reading a book while watching a movie. So it's definitely a different world for many people, and it's important to critically think about what we're doing, especially since human beings are not very good at multitasking. Is it a bad thing that we have convergence and persuaders using convergence? I don't necessarily think of it as a bad thing, but I do think that persuaders are now more capable than ever to persuade us even more than before, simply for the fact that we will see them on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, television, the internet, browsing through Google. There's always an ad on those platforms. The impact of convergence for persuaders and audience members is threefold. First, convergence allows users immediate access to vast libraries of information. Second, the convergence allows for what Campbell has called mass customization, whereby products, companies, and content providers can customize a web page or media form for an individual consumer. Finally, convergence emphasizes the symbolic, mediated nature of our environment. And what this means is that convergence is not just like one thing, it's a huge technology movement, and it persuades us in so many different ways that it's overwhelming at times, and it could definitely impact us even more now that there is a convergence technology happening. When we purchase books and music, read the day's newspaper, and watch the nightly news from our computer, we lose our sense of place in the real world. We operate in a symbolic world in which time and space are meaningless, which could definitely be dangerous because we're not thinking critically or realistic, and it could take us away from what is really happening in front of us. Kenneth Burke claims that we as humans are separate from our natural condition by instruments of our own making. In the world of media convergence, every consumer gets courted across multiple media platforms. There's advertisements everywhere from Twitter, news, radio, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, television. Everywhere around us we are getting persuaded, and with the advancement of technology and social platforms, we're going to see more and more. Every time I watch TV or a movie, there's always a visible but somewhat not obvious ad. So sometimes I perceive ads such as a character in a movie or a TV show drinking Coca-Cola or using a MacBook as something normal without realizing that it's actually an ad. Convergence represents a cultural shift as consumers are encouraged to seek out new information and make connections among dispersed media content. Mobile phones have become central to the process of media convergence because people don't really sell phones that are just used to answer calls and hang up and call someone. Phones today are just smartphones that contain YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, mail, anything you can think of. There's a mass amount of social interaction within a phone, and there's always convergence circulating around a smartphone. George Giller said, the computer industry is converging with the television industry in the same sense that automobile converged with the horse. Just in our phones, we can watch movies, listen to music, read the news, interact with friends, video chat, make phone calls, etc. Before, many things were different. Everything had their own purpose. But now TVs are partnering up with Apple, which is a computer company. So now we have TV, and then we have Apple TV, which you can use with your television. Convergence is reshaping American popular culture, and in particular the way it is impacting the relationship between media audiences, producers, and content. Pursuers are able to reach and interact with their audience more than ever before, but now there's also more ways to completely avoid ads, which can be difficult for persuaders to deal with, especially in this time and era when we can just forward through or just exit out. So the fact that convergence is happening is definitely helpful for the market. Persuaders are able to reach and interact with their audiences more than ever before. Media convergence is more than simply a technological shift. Convergence alerts the relationship between existing technologies, industries, markets, genres, and audiences. The persuader's main goal is to change another individual's attitude or behavior, and must be aware that they are trying to accomplish this goal. Persuasion occurs within a context of intentional messages that are initiated by the communicator in hopes of influencing the recipient. Persuasion involves the transmission of a message. The message may be verbal or nonverbal. It can be relayed interpersonally through mass media or by the internet. Therefore, with persuaders being able to reach us through many platforms, we are more prone to fall into what they are selling to us, which isn't necessarily good, but it isn't necessarily bad either. If we can't think of convergence and persuaders critically, we are going to be busy and we're not going to think critically, but we're going to be distracted by what they are trying to do. So that was my presentation. It was cool.